Exclusive content. Yeah, so I'm gonna when I upload videos, I'm gonna make them available to members first, but everyone still gets them. Everyone still gets them at the scheduled time. It's just that members can watch it a few hours early, a day early, 2 days early, whenever I upload it and I schedule it. If I upload it on Sunday, schedule it for Tuesday, members can see it for 2 days, basically. That's basically it. And sometimes I upload it on the day. I was scheduled for 6 p.m. Melbourne time, but I make it available to members at 1 p.m. Melbourne time. So stuff like that. I'll be doing stuff like that, but everyone still gets the videos on time. It's just that members see it earlier than it's meant to be seen. So yeah, you should try sort by. Oh yeah, I said that. Grad final, graduation final. Coxie, you made the list for the spelling error, even though you got the prediction correct. Find this game impossible to pick. On one hand, the Lions are hot and playing amazing football. Geelong played well, so beating them was difficult. Yeah, Geelong lost Holmes, but Brisbane lost a big O2. Sydney had an ideal lead-up and a pretty healthy list, so I think they should be favoured by the gamblers. Odds Sydney $1.73 and Brisbane $2.12. Gamble responsibly. Sydney had one big advantage in Brody Grundy. Darcy thought might get a fairy tale cup call-up to replace McInerney. He did a good job. We will have to wait and see. They might just keep Joe in the ruck and inject some speed elsewhere, just because of the big man situation and the easier run leading to grand final. Sydney should win, but you never really know. Sydney by 10 points, but I might change my mind by Saturday afternoon. So before you put me on any list, check underneath this comment for any updates. There are no updates, so you just made the list. This pen is on its last legs, flipping. It's hard to write it now. We had a question about road to the final. I do it every year, mate, and I didn't miss it this time. 8 years in a row we've been doing that. Got to make it 10. We've got 2 more years. Grand final prediction: Sydney 28-20 at quarter time, half time 54-47, 3/4 time 76-80 Brisbane, and full time Sydney to beat Brisbane 102-94. Lukey just made the list. This will be so tragic for the loser, losing 2 grannies in 3 years. What's funny about this is Brisbane would be 2 in 2 years, like back to back. So indirectly, he predicted Sydney to lose. When you think about it, when you actually read into the lines, he could just get up and say, I meant Sydney, and he wouldn't be... you can't really argue with it. One theory I had, it says 2022 Geelong went in the grand final with pretty much no problem. Sydney had just barely made the grand final, and by the turn of their big day that year, the Swans felt too tired, got smashed like they did. I think it was also nerves though. Now Swans didn't completely smash Port, but it's still better than them compared to being cornered by 1 point. And as for Brisbane, they won in a close game, which in times they struggled, which the Cats did as well, but if you're following, that's the wrong year. That's the wrong year. Epic Guinea just made a list. Why are these words so hard? They're 2 different words. They're 2 different words. One means yours in your possession. The other one means you are. And it's literally like, there's a clue when there's an apostrophe there. You are is shortened to your. Apostrophe. This is a different your. What you're saying here is, I own a following. My following? Who's my following? Along with what I'm saying, and it makes sense. Well, that doesn't make sense. Based on what I've said, Sydney should win. And if it doesn't make sense to you at all, just put me on the list. We'll shake hands for you 2025, I guess. And you're doing the list for the spelling, for not even, it's not spelling, it's grammar, because they're 2 different words. But you said Sydney should win, so that's twice now. Ben Parsons, legend. I agree. Lions, well done. Atalanta owns Arsenal. Supports the Adelaide Crows. No comment. Also doing Arsenal things. We had a red card for almost an hour. And we lost in the last few seconds. I feel like, actually we drew, but I don't feel like it was that bad, considering we're playing away against the best team in the country. Mid-season, who would have thunk it? The Giants had it all over us this season, got past them, and honestly don't think we'd get past the Cats. Almost couldn't watch it. It was a beautiful thing. We beat Sydney just a few weeks ago, and I'm still trying to decide if that's going to work in our favour or not. Either way, I'm more confident this year than I was last year. Go Lions. Too bad about the big O though. That's really got to suck. I'm wondering who's going to ruck for us now, but I'm sure that someone will fill that gap. Last time the Lions played the Swans in a granny was like 100 years ago. Southman versus Fitzroy, and the Lions won. Just saying. Fair enough. There was no prediction there anyway, and he never even said Sydney to win anyway. So fair enough from the Lions fan. Also, I'd like to point out with the McInerney situation, right? I feel like he deserves a medal. I know there's this tradition that you got to play the grand final. At the same time, I feel like if you play every round, I don't know if McInerney played every round, but I'm just hypothetically, I'm saying, like, generally speaking, if you play every round and you play every finals game, but you get injured in the prelim and you can't play the grand final, to not get a medal from that, especially when you're a key player, I feel like it's extremely harsh. I understand tradition and everything. At the same time, a person can miss the entire season and play one game in the grand final and they get a medal. I feel like that system's a bit dodgy. Like, our system's also bad as well. Like, we have a different system in the Premier League where if you play 5 games, even 1 minute in each of those 5 games, you get a medal. That's not good either. Like, I'm not saying do that, but I'm saying if you contribute towards most of the season, I feel like a medal. I don't see why that you shouldn't get a medal. I don't see why. I understand playing the grand final is like more prestigious, but still, if you play the whole season and then you miss the grand final, that's so unfair. I don't know if I said this during 2018 when Anu missed out, but I'm just saying, if you contribute towards most of your teams, I'm not saying like, oh, you played 3 games and you scored a winning goal in all 3 games. I'm not saying give them a medal, but if you play most of the season, there's got to be exceptions sometimes, in my opinion. Don't know if it's just me. Let me know if you agree. That rhymes. Something you should bring up road to the final is the 4th non-Victorian final ever. I actually did that, to be fair. I didn't know that was only the only 4 in history, though. Although the AFL's been around since 1990, since it was rebranded, so it's probably predictable that it is just 4 times. Did that guy forget 2021 as all Melbourne Grand Final, Melbourne, Western Bulldogs? Honestly, I completely forgot what comment this comment is referring to. I agree. I agree with myself here. I trust my past self. 2024 for Grand Final prediction: Sydney versus Brisbane. Sydney. Ben. He just made a list. That's one time. Hoping it'll be a tight game, but just like last season's grand final, a lot of grand finals haven't been close, but these are the best sides still in it. If you want a close grand final, either you have Collingwood or West Coast. Think about it. When one of those 2 teams are there, it's a close grand final. If you don't have either team in there, I wish you good fortune with that. Normal spin final prediction: Isaac Heaney to win it. Honestly, I forgot he was there half the time. I didn't. Most of the time, it's like he wasn't there, and I thought he'd be the key player to help them win. Final for prediction 2024. Had some good predictions and a lot of horrible ones. Thank you, Dad, for making stupid idiots. It's been a highlight of my week AFL season. Finally, I just want to say, Collingwood, you finished 9th. Another time for mentioning Collingwood, and another time for Isaac Heaney for Norm Smith. Maybe next year, huh? Yeah, Mars McGee once again. He loves to backtrack. There's no evidence here, but we were talking about when Hawthorn were outside the 8, like a few rounds before the end of the season. We had a discussion about who could drop out the 8, and because Sydney lost a few games, Mars McGee said Sydney. Sydney dropping out the 8, replaced by Hawthorn. That's what he suggested. Then he starts backtracking. Okay, buddy. Okay. Okay, buddy. I'm pretty sure Sydney's the first team he said as well. And this refers to... So this community post refers to people telling me... Alright, let me bring it up because it's actually worth it for this video. So for some reason, the first picture isn't loading. But the first 2 comments are about Holtzy. Let's see if it pops up on here. Does it work? You can see that. You can sort of see the names there, Holtzy and Jai. David, the Lions can now fall out the 8. What are you on about? Hawks will take over Brisbane. No, now it means Carlton won't kick you out on percentage. Now you have the backup of Freo losing to Port to keep you in. So that was the last one. Was Mars McGee suggesting that Hawthorn could miss out to Carlton, but the first 2 were saying Brisbane are going to be out of the 8s after an overreaction because they lost 2 games in round 23 with 1 round left. And then they had Essendon at home. And people were suggesting to me that they were going to lose that game and miss out on the 8. I couldn't believe my eyes, you know. I couldn't believe my eyes. Ethan was the only one making sense here. Brisbane have the Bombers next week. Brisbane are easy beats. Brisbane are easy beats. First of all, Holtzy OCE is on the list. Let me just make sure that's on the list now. Times 120, because that's how much the score was from Brisbane. Same with Jai, 120. Random AFL fan, 120. Easy beats. It's a very Essendon thing to beat the Lions at the Gabba though, David. AFL legend, that's another 120 times, 121 now. Essendon beats Brisbane in 2022 at the Gabba when Essendon finished 15th. That is a worse Essendon team than this year, and we have a worse Brisbane side than in 2022. Do we? Is this guy's off his head, bruv? He's comparing a result 2 years ago. 2.5 years ago, I'm pretty sure. What the 125 times in total now. That's another 5 times for that nonsense. People trying to gaslight me into thinking the Brisbane Lions would miss out on the 8 because they played Essendon at home, as if that's some sort of tough game. Have you watched Essendon this year? They are bloody awful, mates. I have more trust in bloody Freo than Essendon. Oh my days. And now they've won the flag, so even better. So that also makes Mr. Cat look stupid because he suggested that they would not beat Carlton. It would be a close game. Carlton be a close game, Dave Davidoff. They're going to lose to the Giants. They're going to lose to Geelong. They're going to lose to Sydney. Every week, Mr. Cat underestimates the Lions and win the flag. Mr. Cat should be anti-Hawthorn all next season and win the flag as well. Mr. Cat 120 times. Been there bloody 30 minutes already, for flip's sake. Also, Mars McGee 120 times because he also suggested that Brisbane would lose at home to Carlton at the Gabba. Why? Because Carlton beat them in opening round 6 months ago when Brisbane were losing almost every game. Blithering idiots sometimes, man. They won 4 of their first 12 games. One was North Melbourne. Another was Melbourne, who was struggling. These and the other two, you know what? We're not going to get into this for flip's sake. Everyone underestimating Brisbane, and look what happened. You know what? Comment the same things about Hawthorn next year. I dare you. We're going to win the flag.
You just made the list. 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 You just made the list.